Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So, you're interested in learning about Islam in Malaysia? That's a fascinating topic with a rich history and a complex present-day situation. In this overview, we're going to take a journey through the story of Islam in Malaysia, from its early beginnings to its current state. We'll start by looking at how Islam first came to Malaysia and how it spread throughout the region. Then we'll dive into some numbers, giving you a clear picture of the Muslim population in Malaysia today, including the breakdown between different Islamic traditions. After that, we'll explore the daily lives of Malaysian Muslims, their practices, where they live, and how Islam shapes their day-to-day experiences. We'll also tackle some of the challenges faced by the Muslim community in Malaysia, because like any large group, they have their share of issues to grapple with. Finally, we'll address the question of Islamophobia in Malaysia, which is an interesting topic given that Muslims are the majority in the country. We'll look at whether there are any anti-Islamic sentiments or organizations, and how this plays out in a predominantly Muslim nation. This overview should give you a solid foundation for understanding the role of Islam in Malaysian society. Let's dive in. Islam first reached the Malay world in the 12th century, brought by Arab and Indian traders who were sailing the lucrative spice routes. These merchants didn't just bring goods, they also brought their faith, introducing Islamic ideas and practices to the local population. The earliest evidence of Islamic influence in the region comes from the discovery of a tombstone in Terengganu, dated 1303. This stone, inscribed with Arabic script, suggests that by the early 14th century, there were already Muslim communities established in what is now Malaysia. The spread of Islam was gradual and largely peaceful. It wasn't imposed by conquest, but rather adopted voluntarily, often starting with the ruling classes. The Malacca Sultanate, founded in the early 15th century, played a crucial role in this process. When Paramaswara, the founder of Malacca, converted to Islam and took the title of Sultan, it marked a turning point. Malacca became a center of Islamic learning and culture, attracting scholars from across the Muslim world. From Malacca, Islam spread to other parts of the peninsula and to neighboring islands. The religion was attractive to many rulers because it provided a more sophisticated system of law and governance, as well as connections to the wider Muslim trading network. Interestingly, the Islam that took root in Malaysia was heavily influenced by Sufism, a mystical branch of the religion. This made it more adaptable to local customs and beliefs, allowing for a smoother transition from earlier Hindu-Buddhist practices. By the 16th century, Islam had become the dominant religion in most of the Malay Peninsula, though it took longer to spread to some interior regions and to Borneo. The arrival of European colonial powers, starting with the Portuguese conquest of Malacca in 1511, slowed but didn't stop the spread of Islam. Under British colonial rule in the 19th and early 20th centuries, Islam became increasingly tied to Malay ethnic identity. The British policy of preserving Malay customs and religion as part of their indirect rule approach actually reinforced the role of Islam in Malay society. When Malaysia gained independence in 1957, Islam was enshrined as the official religion of the new nation, though freedom of religion was also guaranteed. Since then, Islam has continued to play a central role in Malaysian politics and society, with ongoing debates about its proper place in a multi-ethnic, multi-religious nation. This history helps explain why Islam is so deeply rooted in Malaysian culture today, and why it's such an important part of Malay identity. It's a story of gradual adoption and adaptation, shaped by trade, politics, and local customs over many centuries. All right, let's dive deeper into the numbers and demographics of Muslims in Malaysia. This is important for understanding the current religious landscape of the country. Approximately 61% of the Malaysian population is Muslim. To put that into perspective, we're talking about roughly 19 million people out of a total population of around 32 million. These figures come from the most recent official census and surveys. Now, when we break this down further, it gets even more interesting. The vast majority of these Muslims, we're talking over 99%, are Sunni Muslims. They follow the Shafi'i school of Islamic jurisprudence, which is one of the four major Sunni schools of thought. This Shafi'i tradition is common across Southeast Asia and has been the dominant form of Islam in Malaysia for centuries. Shia Muslims, on the other hand, are a very small minority in Malaysia. It's hard to get exact numbers, but estimates suggest they make up less than 1% of the Muslim population. We're probably talking about a few thousand people at most. It's worth noting that Shia Islam isn't officially recognized in Malaysia, which can make life challenging for this small community. It's important to understand that in Malaysia, religious and ethnic identity are closely linked. The majority of Muslims in Malaysia are ethnic Malays, who make up about 50–55% of the total population. In fact, according to the Malaysian constitution, all ethnic Malays are considered Muslim by definition. However, Islam in Malaysia isn't limited to Malays. There are also significant numbers of Indian Muslims and Chinese Muslims, as well as indigenous groups in Sabah and Sarawak who practice Islam. The Muslim population isn't evenly distributed across the country. Some states, particularly in the north and east of peninsular Malaysia, have Muslim majorities of over 90%. These include states like Kelantan, Terengganu, and Perlis. In contrast, states like Penang and Sarawak have lower percentages of Muslims, though they're still significant minorities. It's also worth noting that the proportion of Muslims in Malaysia has been slowly increasing over time. This is partly due to higher birth rates among Muslim communities, as well as some conversion to Islam. These demographics play a crucial role in Malaysian politics and society. The Muslim majority has a significant influence on the country's laws and policies, while the rights and interests of non-Muslim minorities are an ongoing topic of debate and negotiation. Remember, while these numbers give us a general picture, they don't capture the full diversity and complexity of Muslim life in Malaysia. There's a wide range of religious practices and levels of observance among Malaysian Muslims, from very conservative to quite liberal interpretations of Islam. Absolutely, let's delve into the daily lives and activities of Muslims in Malaysia. This is where we really get to see how Islam is woven into the fabric of Malaysian society. In Malaysia, Islam isn't just a set of beliefs. It's a way of life that influences many aspects of daily routine, especially for the Malay Muslim majority. Let's start with the basics. Many Malaysian Muslims observe the 5 daily prayers, or salah. You'll often hear the call to prayer, or adhan, ringing out from mosques across the country. In cities and towns, you'll find mosques busy during prayer times, with people taking breaks from work or school to attend. Fasting during the month of Ramadan is widely observed. During this time, you'll see a noticeable shift in daily rhythms. Many restaurants close during the day, and when the sun sets, there's a festive atmosphere as people break their fast together. The end of Ramadan is marked by Eid al-Fitr, locally known as Hari Raya Eid al-Fitri, which is one of the biggest celebrations in the Malaysian calendar. Dietary habits are also influenced by Islamic teachings. Most Muslims in Malaysia follow halal dietary restrictions, and you'll find that halal food is widely available. In fact, Malaysia has positioned itself as a global halal hub, with a robust certification system for halal products. When it comes to dress, many Muslim women in Malaysia wear the hijab, though it's not legally required. You'll see a range of styles, from colorful traditional baju kurung to more modern interpretations of modest dress. Some women choose not to wear the hijab, especially in more urban areas. Education is another area where Islam plays a role. Many Muslim children attend religious schools, either full-time or for after-school classes, where they learn to read the Quran and study Islamic teachings. Islamic studies is also a compulsory subject for Muslim students in public schools. In terms of where Muslims live, you'll find them all over Malaysia. But there are some regional differences. States like Kelantan and Terengganu in the northeast of peninsular Malaysia are known for being more conservative and have a higher concentration of Muslims. These areas often have stricter Islamic regulations, like limitations on alcohol sales and more conservative dress codes. In contrast, urban areas like Kuala Lumpur and Penang tend to be more diverse and cosmopolitan. Here you'll see a wide range of lifestyles among Muslims, from very traditional to quite modern and secular. Economically, Malaysian Muslims are involved in all sectors of the economy. In rural areas, traditional occupations like farming and fishing are still common. In cities, you'll find Muslims in all kinds of professions, from business and finance to technology and the arts. There's also a growing Islamic finance sector in Malaysia, which follows Islamic principles in banking and investment. It's important to note that, while Islam is a significant part of daily life for many, the level of religious observance varies widely among Malaysian Muslims. Some are very devout, while others have a more relaxed approach to religious practices. Lastly, many aspects of Malay culture, from traditional arts and crafts to festivals and ceremonies, have been influenced by Islamic traditions over the centuries. This has created a unique blend of Malay and Islamic culture that's distinctly Malaysian. This diversity in lifestyle and practice reflects the complex interplay between religion, culture, and modernity in contemporary Malaysia. It's a dynamic picture, constantly evolving as Malaysian society continues to develop and change. Sure, let's dig into the challenges and issues faced by the Muslim population in Malaysia. Like any community, Malaysian Muslims deal with a range of problems, some unique to their situation and others more universal. One of the biggest challenges is the ongoing debate about the role of Islam in Malaysian society and governance. There's often tension between those who want a more conservative, literal interpretation of Islamic law and those who prefer a more moderate, progressive approach. This plays out in discussions about the implementation of hudud laws, Islamic criminal laws in some states, particularly Kelantan. It's a contentious issue that touches on questions of state rights, religious freedom, and the nature of Malaysia as a multi-religious country. Related to this is the issue of religious authority. There are ongoing debates about who has the right to interpret Islam for the Malaysian context. The state religious authorities often clash with more liberal Muslim intellectuals and activists. This can lead to situations where certain interpretations of Islam are labeled as deviant and banned, which some see as limiting religious freedom. Another significant challenge is balancing Islamic values with the pressures of modernization and globalization. Many Malaysian Muslims, especially younger ones, struggle to reconcile traditional Islamic teachings with modern lifestyles. This can lead to a sense of cultural dissonance or identity crisis. Economic inequality is also a concern. While there are many successful Muslim professionals and entrepreneurs in Malaysia, there's a perception that the Malay Muslim community lags behind other ethnic groups economically. This has led to affirmative action policies which, while beneficial in many ways, have also been criticized for creating dependency and inter-ethnic tension. The treatment of LGBTQ+ individuals is another contentious issue. Homosexuality is illegal under both civil and Islamic law in Malaysia, and LGBTQ+ Muslims often face significant discrimination and legal challenges. There's also the complex issue of conversion and apostasy. While conversion to Islam is encouraged and relatively straightforward, leaving Islam is extremely difficult and can have severe legal and social consequences. This has led to some high-profile legal cases and debates about religious freedom. Interfaith relations can be another source of tension. While Malaysia is generally peaceful, there have been incidents of religious conflict, particularly around issues like the use of the word Allah by non-Muslims and the construction of non-Muslim places of worship. The rise of more conservative forms of Islam, often influenced by Middle Eastern interpretations, has created some internal divisions within the Muslim community. Some worry that this trend is eroding traditional Malay Muslim culture, which has historically been more moderate and inclusive. Education is another area of concern. While the Malaysian education system is generally good, there are worries about the quality of some Islamic schools and the potential for religious education to promote intolerance or extremism if not properly managed. Lastly, while not widespread, there have been concerns about radicalization among a small minority of Malaysian Muslims. The government has had to deal with the challenge of citizens attempting to join extremist groups abroad. These issues are complex and often interconnected. They're the subject of ongoing debate and negotiation within Malaysian society. It's a dynamic situation, with different groups advocating for different solutions and visions for the future of Islam in Malaysia. It's worth noting that despite these challenges, Malaysia is often seen as a relatively successful example of a Muslim-majority country that maintains a generally moderate stance and has achieved significant economic development. The way Malaysia navigates these issues in the coming years will be crucial for its continued stability and progress. All right, let's dive into the topic of Islamophobia in Malaysia. This is a bit of a complex issue, and it's important to approach it with nuance. First off, it's crucial to understand that Islamophobia, as it's typically understood in Western countries, isn't really a significant issue in Malaysia. This is primarily because Muslims form the majority of the population, and Islam is the official religion of the country. In fact, Islam and Malay identity are so intertwined that it's often difficult to separate criticism of one from the other. That said, there are some tensions and issues that could be seen as related to Islamophobia, albeit in a very different context from what we might see in non-Muslim majority countries. One area of tension is between the Muslim majority and non-Muslim minorities, particularly Chinese and Indian Malaysians. These tensions are often more about ethnic and political issues rather than religion per se, but they can sometimes take on religious overtones. For example, there have been disputes over the construction of non-Muslim places of worship or the use of certain religious terms. There's also sometimes friction between more conservative Muslims and those who practice a more liberal or secular lifestyle. This isn't Islamophobia in the traditional sense, but it can lead to accusations of being un-Islamic or not Muslim enough. When it comes to organizations that could be considered Islamophobic, there aren't really any significant groups in Malaysia that openly oppose Islam. That kind of activity would likely be illegal under Malaysian law, which prohibits insulting or provoking contempt towards any religion. However, there are some civil society groups and individuals who advocate for a more secular approach to governance and greater religious freedom. These groups often push back against what they see as the increasing Islamization of Malaysian society and law. It's important to note that many of these advocates are themselves Muslims who simply prefer a different interpretation of how Islam should interact with the state and society. The fight against Islam does not really exist in Malaysia. Instead, the debate is more about what kind of Islam should be practiced and how it should influence law and society. This includes discussions about things like the implementation of hudud law, the role of Sharia courts, and the balance between Islamic and civil law. In terms of my own research, what I find interesting is how Malaysia manages the balance between its Islamic identity and its multi-religious, multi-ethnic reality. The government often walks a tightrope, trying to satisfy more conservative Muslim elements while also maintaining Malaysia's image as a moderate, modern Muslim majority country. There have been efforts to promote interfaith dialogue and understanding. The government has initiatives to combat extremism and promote what they call wasatiyah, or moderation in Islamic practice. It's also worth noting that Malaysia has positioned itself as a leader in the global halal industry and Islamic finance, which has helped to create a positive image of Islam as compatible with modern business and economic development. In conclusion, while Islamophobia in the Western sense isn't a major issue in Malaysia, there are complex dynamics around religion, ethnicity, and politics that sometimes create tensions. The real challenge for Malaysia is not fighting against Islam, but rather negotiating how Islam should be interpreted and applied in a diverse, modernizing society. Remember, this is a sensitive and complex topic, and opinions can vary widely among Malaysians themselves. Dear brothers and sisters, we are completing our deep dive into the Islamic world in Malaysia. We've covered a lot of ground today, from the historical roots of Islam in the region to the modern-day challenges and experiences of Malaysian Muslims. I hope this video has given you a better understanding of this complex and fascinating topic. If you found this information interesting or helpful, I'd really appreciate it if you could hit that subscribe button. I'm always working on new content that explores diverse cultures, religions, and social issues around the world. By subscribing, you'll be the first to know when I upload new videos like this one. Also, if you have any questions or thoughts about what we've discussed today, or if there are other aspects of Malaysian culture or Islamic practices you'd like to learn more about, drop a comment below. Your feedback helps me create content that you're interested in. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos that explore the rich tapestry of global cultures and religions. Until next time, take care and stay curious. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.